Welcome, my beauties. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to be here with you right now for this week's episode of Lilith's Alive Show. Welcome to everyone on the replay. Please let me know how you are doing. I'm so excited to be here with you today. We're going to talk about something super important, your sadhana, your daily spiritual practice. And I'm going to show you how you can establish one that is going to be really blissful and how you can do that with ease. So we're going to talk about everything that's important here. Why actually do we need a daily practice as healers? We're going to talk about the excuses that might hold you back. We're going to define your needs, body, mind, heart, and soul. I'm going to help you choose the right practice, and we're going to talk about how you can schedule successfully and how you can get the accountability that you need. Great. Hi to everyone who is joining me here live. Please say hi to me in the comments. Let me know how you're doing today and what your practice looks like at the moment. If you already have a daily practice, let me know what it looks like so we can up-level it together. And if you don't have a practice yet, then we're going to create one for you today. I'm not seeing any comments yet. If you're here, let me know that you're here. Often the comments don't work. It's like that with Facebook, unfortunately. I'm just going to pull up another page here to see what's going on. And I think everything looks fine. I see some of you are here with me live. That's beautiful. Please say hi to me in the comments. Let me know what you're most excited about learning. Here are the comments. Okay, I can see them on the other page. So I'm just going to check here like that. Hi, Erica. Welcome. How are you today? Good. Let's dive right in. So why is self-care so important for healers? Let me know in the comments. Why is self-care essential, especially for us healers? Well, the thing is that when you don't take great care of yourself, how will you have the energy to properly take care of your clients? You won't, especially not long term. You're just going to burn out if you always take care of everyone else, but not of yourself, right? So your personal practice, your personal spiritual practice, your sadhana, that's also what grows your power as a healer, since when done right, it connects you to yourself deeply and more so with every time that you practice. And that's where your power comes from, after all, right? It comes from inside. So your self-care, if done right, creates self-awareness. From self-awareness flows self-love. From self-love flows confidence and personal power. So this is really essential to start with your self-care and to make sure it's right for you. And of course, it's also just what's going to make you feel good about yourself and help you so much in enjoying this life. And that's just the whole point of being here, right? It's for us to grow all while fully enjoying the present moment. The thing is that you're the most important person in your life, right? It's not your partner, it's not your children, it's not your clients. Especially for us healers, it is really important to remember that an empty well cannot give water. Okay, so if we really want to help others, then we have to help ourselves first. And when you start to live for yourself, not for someone else or for something else, obviously that's when your relationships will be enriched too. May they be with your children, romantic relationships, client relationships, right? So prioritize your self-care because it's not only the foundation for your career as a healer, but it's also the foundation for your health and your happiness and your relationships, right? So especially as a healer, your self-care is sacred and is really non-negotiable, okay? So before we talk about why it has to be a daily practice, let me just check the comments again, because I really can't see them here, unfortunately. Margaret is here as well. Hi, Margaret. How are you today? Beautiful to have you here as well. Margaret is one of my new apprentices. Good. So, why a daily practice? Well, because you live every day, right? And if you don't start the day right by prioritizing yourself, by nourishing yourself, well, how are you supposed to stay centered in yourself and be present and serve from your overflow in a high vibe way? Right? It's not possible. And if you don't end the day by coming back to yourself, well, how are you supposed to process what happened during the day, learn and grow and heal from it, and experience blissful sleep and then have the energy that you need the next morning? Also not possible, right? So you really need to practice every morning or evening, and ideally both, right? And we'll talk more about scheduling later, how to actually make this easy. Now, what is super important is that we realize our own self-sabotaging ways, right? We all have excuses that keep us from taking great care of yourself. So let me know in the comments, what is your favorite excuse for not taking great care of yourself, for not doing your self-care practice, for not doing it daily? Let me know in the comments. And I'm going to share with you the two that I hear the most often. So the ones that I don't hear the most often are, I don't have time. That's the first one, right? And the thing is that there's always enough time for self-care. There's always enough time, right? I don't have enough time is really an excuse. So if you hear yourself saying that, remind yourself of what I'm saying right now. It's not true. It's a way of saying I'm not worthy of my own love and attention and time, okay? Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? And yet some of us manage to get so much done and to find so much time for relaxation and self-care, and some of us don't, right? And, most of us who say that, I don't have time, we're caught in a circle of frantic thinking that leads to frantic action, and that is just self-made busyness. It's not real. And I know that it's really hard to see when you're stuck in that wheel. I've been there. The truth is that, not taking great care of yourself is going to take away all of your time, because that's when you deplete yourself. That's when you feel stressed and overwhelmed. And that might compromise your career, your relationships, and your health, right? And then all the time in the world is worth nothing, And that's where we're going to be if we don't start to take care of ourselves, body, mind, heart, and soul, right? Well-being on all levels actually saves time. I mean, how much more efficiently can you do things when your body is strong and relaxed, when your mind is calm? And how much better is it going to feel if your heart is joyful and you're connected to your soul's purpose, right? And that will also make sure that you're doing the right things and not wasting your time on things that actually you're not even supposed to do, right? And the trick here is often simply just to decide that you do have the time, and then to be on the lookout for that moment. And trust me, if you really want it, you're gonna find that time. Because there's clock time, right? But there's also subjective time. Clock time is the same for everyone else, but subjective time isn't. I'm sure you know this feeling, right? That some moments can feel like they last forever, and then all of a sudden things rush along really fast. So that's the way we subjectively experience time, and we can expand time at our will, and that's something really amazing. So really, there is always the time as long as you really want it, and that might be a big realization. So let it sink in, and let me know if all of this makes sense for you so far. Let me know if you have any questions before we move on to the second excuse that I hear all the time. I'm not seeing any questions come up so far. Many of you, I'm sure, are going to watch this on the recording. So absolutely make sure to comment if you're watching this later on. The second excuse that I hear all the time is I don't have the money, right? And that's another thing that is just as ridiculous. There is always enough money for self-care, right? Money is just energy. If we decide that we are worthy of our own time and love and attention, and we follow our purpose and our calling, well, that's when money too is going to start to flow abundantly. And apart from that, right, so many self-care practices are completely free, right? A walk in nature is, breathing consciously is, visualizing your dreams is, right? And the truth I've seen again and again, obviously, is that all fundamental changes, if you want to really change something very big, they require a real investment in terms of money. It's just how you dedicate yourself to something effectively, right? Because where money flows, attention flows, right? And only if you really commit to something will it really work out, right? So I hope you see what I mean here. I mean, if you have this great self-care tool and it costs $5, well, you just might be motivated to use it for a few days, but are you going to stick with it long term? Probably not. And the reason is not that it might not be a great resource. The reason is that when you purchased it for $5, then you probably didn't expect big changes from it, did you? Right? Your attention just isn't there. What, on the other hand, if you invest $400 every month in something, right? Say a personal trainer. Will you show up on the mat consistently? Of course you will, right? Money is just energy, and this is part of your energy that you put there, so you're actually committing to it. And there's always a way to invest in yourself if you really want to, right? So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making is telling themselves that they can't invest. But often the truth is that what they really can't afford is to not invest, because then they stay stuck, and that ends up costing them so much more time and energy and money, right? And then, of course, establishing a great self-care practice might not cost much money at all, right? It's like I said at the start, it really depends on your needs. So let's talk more about those. Let's define your needs, body, mind, heart, and soul. Good. So we really need to base our self-care on what we truly need and not what we want, right? Because everything we want, we just want it because we think it will make us feel great. And it might not at all. When our true needs are satisfied, that's when we'll feel really great, okay? So here's an example. I might want a romantic relationship. And if I go after it without exploring the need behind it, then I might end up skin deep in drama, right? Because if my need is to feel loved, well, then I have to start by giving myself love before I can experience a fulfilling relationship. If I haven't learned how to love myself, I will not be able to let someone else love me either, okay? So what I actually need is not a new relationship, but a self-care practice for the heart and soul, depending on where I need healing from childhood wounds and past relationships so that my self-love can grow, okay? And then I'll probably attract a romantic partner automatically. Does it make sense? Let me know if all of this makes sense and if you have questions. So I want to walk you through the actual needs that you have and check in with you about where you are at, okay? And ideally, of course, you will create a self-care practice for yourself that covers all of your needs on all levels, right? Or at least the most important ones, the ones that you need to tend to the most at the moment. And then the rest, right, of what's not covered, that you can fulfill that with a weekly healing practice or with a monthly treat, right? So let's talk about your body first. Let's talk about your physical needs. Hi, Stephanie, welcome. How are you today? So, your physical needs, what are they? Let me know in the comments what comes to mind. Now, what are the physical needs that we can address with daily self-care practice? Well, there's obviously health, right? And there's a lot of different components to health, like mobility, flexibility, strength, vitality. And then there's also loving our bodies, right? Loving to be within our bodies and experiencing joy through our bodies. And the most direct way to get there with daily practice is with a conscious movement practice, right? And it doesn't have to be daily. I used to well, before I really did, when I did Bikram yoga very intensely, I did that every second day. Then I had a child and didn't have time for that anymore. And then I sort of had established a shorter daily practice, and I still have that to that day. And I also tend to do a weekly longer training. Now, why ideally move your body daily? Well, obviously because you move your body daily anyway, right? But often in our modern lives, we don't move our body in ways that actually promotes health, right? So if we have a healthy movement practice, that can counter the negative effects of how we move for the rest of the day. And there are really so many ways of moving our bodies in a way that promotes health, right? And vitality and joyfully experiencing our bodies. And the key is to just find the practice that also at the same time promotes conscious movement, right? That enables you to really feel into your body as you move. That enables you to experience your body, right? To be present with your body. And that will in turn also calm your mind and give your feelings a chance to surface as well. So it will spill over into the other levels. And from my perspective, obviously yoga is the go-to practice, but there are also other ones that you might want to explore, like belly dancing or Tai Chi or Qigong. So just explore, make it fun, and find what you love. And, that makes you feel alive and good about being in your body. Now, what I want you to do right now is write down your number one physical need that you have at the moment that can be fulfilled through a daily self-care practice. What is it that you need most at the moment? Is it to cultivate love for your body? Is it mobility, flexibility? Is it strength? Is it vitality? What is it that you could give yourself through a movement practice that you most need at the moment? And then share it with me in the comments. Happy to hear you're enjoying it, Stephanie. You're welcome. Good. And once you know that, your number one physical need, let's move on to the mind. What are your mental needs? Well, the two most important ones from my experience are first to learn how to silence your mind, right? Because the mind is supposed to be a tool for focused thinking, and it's not supposed to be the driver of our being, just running on autopilot, right? Our minds is where all our stress comes from, right? Frantic thinking then leads to frantic activity, and that just creates overwhelm and unhappiness because it's not aligned with our heart's desires and our soul's purpose. It's just fear-based and it doesn't serve us. So our goal is to silence our monkey mind so we don't continuously have this chattering going on, which just takes up so much of our energy as well. Now, I teach an amazing practice called shamanic listening in one of my other trainings. Feel free to look it up with the help of the search function in this group. It can really help you to silence your mind within seconds. And of course, you might want to establish a meditation practice. I really recommend shamanic meditations. It works like nothing else. When I tried with classical meditation to just silence my mind, it never worked. As soon as I introduced the drum, it became so much easier. And then, of course, the second need that we have on a mental level is to experience positive thinking, right? If we keep thinking negative things about ourselves and our world, well, that's going to be what is showing up in our reality, right? So the first step here is to become aware of our thoughts, realize that we are thinking, then to just let these thoughts go, silencing the mind, right? Not feeling guilty or being angry with ourselves, but on the contrary, being gentle and letting these thoughts go again and again. And then, start to think the opposite of that. And you'll find that that's true, right? And sometimes it seems weird, like when you're thinking, oh, my child is so sloppy, Well, what if you start thinking, oh, my child is, so good at keeping her things in order, even if it's not true in the moment. If you could start thinking it, then you're going to see how it's also true. You're going to be able to think of moments when your child was able to, put all of her things in place, and then as soon as you start thinking it, it's going to show up in your reality more often. That's the power of conscious creation, right? That's how you manifest your life. And if you keep thinking my child is sloppy, well, she's probably always going to be sloppy. Good. Yeah, and to really foster positive thinking, there's of course lots of practices that we can use, right, as a daily practice that can really help us to learn how to do this very fast, like from affirmation practices to practicing mindfulness, breathing practices, meditation. There's lots of different ones. Good. Now, where are you at with those two mental needs on a scale from 1 to 10? Like 1 would be my mental state is super hectic and negative, and 10 would be I am a serene goddess radiating positivity out into the world. Where are you at with that at the moment? Love that wisdom, says Margaret. So happy to hear that. Now let me know in the comments, where are you at on a scale from 1 to 10? Whatever we do, whenever we want to up level something, we have to first become real with where we're actually at. It's really, really important. I always say self-awareness is the first step in any transformational process, right? Good, then let's move on to the heart, right? Your emotional needs. And the first one is, for many of us, is to open the heart space in the first place. Most of us just have a thick wall around our hearts. It's a protective layer, right? A safety mechanism that we've unconsciously put in place to protect ourselves. And this layer really numbs our feelings so that we cannot fully feel what we experience. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about here. I definitely had several phases in my life where that happened to me. And it can make sense, right? When you're in the midst of a really traumatic situation, it can really make sense for a short time, but long term, obviously, this is not great at all. So we need to gently open that wall again, which we can do with heart opening practices. Like, for example, the practice that I have for you here in the circle, which is called Out of the Mind into the Heart. That's really serves you on both levels, right? Mentally, to calm your mind, and with opening your heart. And then, of course, there's other heart opening practices. For example, camel pose, right? Fish pose. So there's asana practices that can help you with that too. And of course, the really powerful one are shamanic meditations and journeys. And the second need that you have on an emotional level is emotional processing and healing. So this is about learning to feel what is, to give in to our feelings as they arise in the moment, making peace with our feelings, realizing that they are our friends, even the difficult ones, especially the difficult ones. So when feelings come up, try to not distract yourself or vent your feelings, right? But just really feel what is. Make it a habit to try and stop in your tracks when you have intense feelings coming up and just sit down and just breathe with what is. That might take you some practice, but it was a real life changer for me when I started doing that. You know, I used to have this practice years ago where I would just sit down for 5 minutes when feelings came up, just to sit and process those feelings. And that was incredible what shifted very fast within me. And that's really the most powerful way to realize that our feelings are here for us, right? And so if you find it hard to do that in the moment, because you get overwhelmed by your feelings, right? Because, for example, when you're very angry and then you start screaming, or you start to vent your feelings in some way, then do it later. Sit down later and feel yourself back into that situation, okay? And this way you will still be able to process your feelings. Now let me know where you're at when it comes to your emotional needs. Rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 again. 1 would be, I can't feel anything. 3 would be, I hurt like hell. That's already better than not feeling anything. 6 would be, I'm healing. And 10 would be, I feel everything and I feel so good about everything. So where are you at on that scale? Stephanie had a 9 for the mental health. I think that's amazing. And a 7 for the emotional healing. That's not bad. Amazing. I love hearing that. Good. Now let's talk about your needs on the soul level. Well, first of all, a really important one is accessing the soul perspective, right? The higher perspective through your inner knowing. So many of us always just live in the mind and in the body, and it's really just half of who we are, right? So starting to live from the heart again is so important. And then, of course, we also want to live that highest perspective of who we are, right? Be aware of the soul level of our beings. It's, all about knowing that we are one with everyone and everything. It's knowing that actually all is well underneath everything and always has been and always will be. Understanding that we are eternal, right? It's about feeling at peace with death and rebirth and life and that eternal cycle. And this is the kind of inner knowing that we are born with, right? We are born into that soul perspective, but then we forget, because we're told otherwise, and we witness people living in the mind and the body. And at some point we have to rediscover it, right? So shamanic journeying is obviously the most powerful and magical way of finding back to that inner knowing and peace. So if you don't know how to journey yet, I highly recommend you start learning. It's really probably the most worthwhile skill to learn. And then the second need on the soul level is wholeness, right? And to experience yourself as whole. And we do that through soul extraction and soul retrievals, right? So we split part of our soul. We split our soul during traumatic events in our childhood and even later in life in intense friendships and especially with romantic partners. We exchange soul parts, right? And that serves some purpose in the moment. It's often even life-saving. As children, we do it either because the trauma that is too much for us to digest in the moment and we would otherwise have to split the mind, for example, which is when we have phenomena like schizophrenia come up. Or we do it to help our parents, okay? We give part of our soul to them because they're ill on some level of their being. They need help. And as adults, we often have the desire to save our partners, and we do the same, right? And in the long term, obviously, it doesn't serve anybody. We need to find back to our wholeness. We need to give back the soul parts that we have acquired in our lifetime that actually are a burden to us long term. And we need to receive those back that we have given away that we need for our wholeness. And that's the kind of practice that does not fall under the category of self-care anymore. This is a practice that you can facilitate on yourself if you're a trained shaman, or that another shaman can facilitate on you. But this is about self-healing, of course, or healing, not about self-care. I offer a shamanic healing and therapy package where I can do this most sacred work for all of you. I don't often have spots though, but I have a waiting list. So if you're interested in soul level healing, just let me know and I'll put you on that list and I will let you know when the next spot is available. And of course, I also teach my apprentices how to do this in the apprenticeship. Good. Now, the next soul need, the third big one, is living our purpose, right? Living our purpose. Just checking your comments. Let me know if all of it makes sense, if you have questions. Margaret, you're at a 4, I think, with your emotional needs. Well, the good news is for you, you were in the apprenticeship, and the first 3 weeks of the apprenticeship are all about the heart space. So you have all of that laid out clearly for you to up-level that score. So living our purpose. It's all about understanding why we are here, right? What is it that really fulfills us? Understanding our soul journey and our unique gifts that we're meant to share with others. Everyone has a calling, right? Everyone is unique and meant to share that unique beauty and power with the world. And when we do that strategically, it creates an income for us. And that's exactly what I help you with in the Shamanic Yoga Apprenticeship as well. It's to advance your self-care and self-healing to a whole new level And with that foundation, you train as a shamanic healer, and then you create your soulful, successful healing business with me at your side. Now, as you all know, the apprenticeship is closed for enrollment at the moment, but there's also a wait list for that you can put yourself on, so that you will be the first to be given a space once I open it again. I don't always do a big initiation, a big launch, because often the spaces just fill up like that, which is, for example, why we didn't have a launch before the last one for 4 months. People still joined the apprenticeship in the meantime whenever I had a space, because they were on that wait list. So if you're keen on getting into the next round, let me know. So now that we are clear on what each level of our being needs for optimal health and happiness, it's all about seeing where you are at each part, right, which we did with that score. And then what we need to do is establish a regular self-care practice. And I want to show you how to do that now, right? But first, we haven't felt into where you are at with your soul's needs. So I would love to know, what do you need to prioritize first? What's the most important thing for you to prioritize right now? Is it accessing your inner knowing so you can really understand the soul perspective? Or is it wholeness? Do you need to focus on soul retrievals and extractions? Or is it living your purpose? What do you feel you need to prioritize? Because the thing is that often if we don't tend to the soul level, then it's very difficult to successfully go all the way with the other levels, because it's at the soul that everything originates. So that's why I love shamanic healing so much, because we go to the deepest level, we work on the soul level, and from there it is so much easier to work on the body, on the mind, and on the heart, because the core issue has already been dealt with, right? So let me know what you have to prioritize right now before we talk about how to actually find a practice that fits your needs on all levels. Stephanie, you're saying you need to prioritize living your purpose. Well, I hope that you got lots of pointers on how to do that in the initiation that we just had. And if I can help you in any way specifically, just reach out to me. Good. Now that you know where you're at, it's time to find a practice or practices to fit your needs, right? You want to make sure that whatever practice you use for your self-care makes sense energetically, and that it's powerful, right? So that you're actually going to see results from it, and that it's enjoyable at the same time, right? Because you want to really look forward to your practice, which is just the easiest way to get consistent with it, right? If it's actually, it feels like a treat. Now, it would be rather difficult to find a practice or practices to fit all of your needs on all levels had I not already created all the practices that you need for you, right? I have an amazing kit available. It's called the High Vibe Kit. It's essential spiritual practices for healers. I'm going to pop the link in the comments for you. It's an amazing collection of some of my most beautiful practices that are really tried and true. Many of my clients have used for years and years to great effect. And I highly recommend that you grab it, because it's super affordable and amazing resource to have. Now I'm going to share with you what's inside. It's a real treasure trove. You have 9 different practices, and they really cover most of those needs, if not all of them. All of them on some level, definitely. Of course, you can always go deeper, but in terms of your self-care, you have everything covered in there. You have a feel-good meditation, which is all about self-love, right? So that's really that emotional level. This is for your heart. Then you have a Mother Earth meditation, which is for grounding and beauty. So that's gonna really be amazing for you on the physical level, right? Because it's really about grounding, connecting to your roots. But it's also a practice that really is about emotional release, since you can let go of what no longer serves you. So it's also amazing for the heart, and it's even amazing for the mind, because the beat of the drum is just going to be so amazing. You're going to really be able to meditate in a much easier way than with classical meditation. Then you have a beautiful breathing practice, which is called Nadi Shodhana, and that is all about new energy. So it's going to benefit your body, it's going to benefit your mind, because it's going to make you feel really calm. And obviously, everything in your life is going to feel easier once you have this new beautiful energy as well. And then you have shamanic asana, which is about creating strength and flexibility. So it's about your physical needs. And of course, you also have the beat of the drum there. So it's also going to help you to really release tension. So it's also going to be amazing for your mental and your emotional needs. You have a sleep meditation, which is going to really help you to process the day. It helps you on a physical level, on a mental level, physical, right? If you don't have the right sleep, then nothing is right. Okay, it's such an important foundation for everything in life, that your sleep is right. And this practice is beautiful because it's because you fall asleep to it, and you're gonna really wake up and feel super amazing after that. And of course, it helps you to relax and process the day. So you have that mental level there, and of course, the emotional level as well. You have an amazing root chakra meditation, which is about health and wealth. So it ties into that physical level, because wealth ultimately is all about the physical level, right? Because with money, you buy everything that you need for your incarnated self. And it's going to really help you with any health challenges that you might have as well. And then you have a spirit guide meditation, which is really, really, really beautiful. So this can help you to connect to spirit guides that you already have, so that you can receive guidance on your soul journey. So this is all about the soul level, right? And then you have another practice, which is about magnifying your personal power and protecting your energetic space. And this is really for your whole being. And this is such an essential practice for all of us aspiring healers and healers, because, well, it's easy for us to attract energetic intrusions. And this one is going to really help you to make sure that your personal energetic space is going to be cleared of everyone but yourself, and so that you can really magnify your own energy and just feel good in yourself. And it's also a spiritual practice at the same time. And then I have included a bonus for you, which is all about raising your vibration, because raising your vibration, really means that you up level on all levels at the same time. So this is just going to make you feel really, really, really good. And it's also a chance for you to contribute to the collective by sending out love and light into the world from your overflow. So it's really a beautiful kit. It is super affordable. So click the link that I have put for you in the description and in the comments as well. And here, the way you work with this kit is you can really choose a different practice every day, right? Or you can stick to one for a while until you've absorbed all the goodness before moving on to another. But what I really love best is I recommend you start with the one that fulfills your most urgent needs. So some examples would be, if your sleep is not great, obviously start with the sleep meditation. If you have physical challenges, start with the root chakra meditation. If you don't have if you feel drained, right? If you don't have enough energy, start with Nadi Shodhana, with the sun breath. If you don't move enough, obviously start with shamanic asana. Okay, so feel into it right now. Where do you need to start? What is your most urgent need of all of the needs that we went through before, body, mind, heart, and soul? Where do you need to start? Because it's no use like starting to work with something that's not actually that important. And that's often what we do though. We have really one need that is really, really important, that is completely unfulfilled, but we don't want to start there because it seems so huge, right? It's a huge problem. So we try to avoid it and we deal with everything else first, but that's a mistake, right? We need to really start with what we need the most. And from that awareness of what your most urgent need is, you can create an intention for your self-care practice. Like, for example, it's all about what you want to get out of the practice. Like, I calm my mind daily so that I can experience peace throughout the day. Or I move my body every day so that I will feel amazing, or that I will feel beautiful, whatever it is, right? So just really say what you're going to do, say it in the present tense, and say how it's going to make you feel or what it's going to do for you, right? Maybe if you choose the root chakra one, it could be about opening yourself up to receiving more money, right? It could be about losing weight. It could be about something very specific like that, or just about how it makes you feel. Good. And once you know all about that, you need to schedule your practice. And this is so, so, so important. This is where it gets real. So I look forward to talking about that. Ah, Anna Marie just got the treasure trove. That's amazing. You're so welcome. This one is a really, really good one. I created this like a while ago when I did a survey in this group, actually, where I asked you all about your about all of your needs, right? It was, I think, at the start of COVID, and I just realized everyone was at home, everyone was frightened, everyone, you know, was struggling, going through things. So I just did this survey to find out what you actually needed, and I made sure that I made it really affordable so that everyone could get it, even in this, you know, financially difficult time. And it's a really, really, really cool treasure trove to have. Some of my most amazing practices. So I highly recommend it to everyone. Okay, Stephanie, you want to focus on the body first. You want more movement. That's perfect. So you already have something very specific to go with. You already know what your daily practice is going to be. Margaret says soul extractions. You're going to learn how to do that in the apprenticeship lab. Good. Okay, so scheduling your practice, right? So you need to start with either the morning or the evening and go for a practice that is like 10 to 15 minutes long. All of the practices in the treasure trove are only that long, so it's really easy to schedule them. So don't overwhelm yourself or you're going to sabotage yourself, right? So don't try to, if you don't have a regular practice right now, don't try to do the morning and the evening right away. Choose the morning or the evening, and when you're consistent with that, add the other time. Don't choose a 45-minute practice. You're not going to do it every day, right? Choose a short and sweet practice. Now, let me know in the comments what works better for your circumstances right now. When do you have more time and peace to nourish yourself? Is it after getting up, or is it before going to bed? Let's get clarity on that. So for me, when my son was little, I'm a single mom, right? So when my son was little, I just couldn't do the mornings, you know. I mean, with the nights, with breastfeeding and waking up all the time, and then getting up with him really early, I just, you know, I just needed that nap in the afternoon before I could focus on anything else, right? So I always had my practice, my main practice in the evenings. And nowadays, my main practice is in the mornings. My son is still there. I still have to prepare him for school. But when he's in school, on most days before I start to work, I have time to do my practice. And on the days that I don't, I do a longer practice in the evening when my son is asleep. So sometimes we have to be a little bit flexible. But the way the things, you know, for me right now, my self-care is so, I don't go through the day and I forget to do it. I always do it. But in the beginning, when you've never really had this regular practice before, it can be really difficult to get consistent if you don't have a specific time of the day, a specific practice, and a specific place where you do it. So I really highly recommend you do it this way. And you're only flexible with it if you absolutely have to be. So you might have already a clear answer, right, about whether the morning or evening is better for you. And if you don't, then you might need to make some tweaks in your daily structure, right? You need to have a look at your life and be like, okay, so where do I actually have to change something, because, you know, it will enable me to create this beautiful practice for myself. And once you know when you're going to practice each day, well, it's time to schedule it into your calendar, right? For your self-care to become a natural, enjoyable part of your everyday, you need to start to treat it with the same priority that you would a business meeting. Otherwise, it's never going to happen, especially in the beginning when it's new, when it's not a healthy habit yet, when you're just creating that new routine, right? Good. So just checking your comments. For Stephanie, it's easier in the night. Okay. Trying to do japa morning and night. I just need to wake up a little earlier. That's a really good intention right there. That's amazing. Margaret wants to start with the mind. That's beautiful. And is the morning or the evenings better for you, Margaret? Good. Now, what really helps to actually stick to your practice is to have someone to lovingly hold you accountable, okay? Once you know your needs, you have the practice, you know when you're going to practice, you have scheduled it. Now what you can do is get a supporting sister. You already know that we have a supporting sister scheme set up in our sister circle right here, right? So if you don't have a supporting sister, it wasn't just for the initiation. This is a long-term thing that you can do. If you don't have one yet, just reach out, write a little post letting everyone know about your self-care intentions, and then ask for a supporting sister. And those who will feel aligned, they might have similar intentions for themselves, they can just reach out to you, right? Or you can reach out to them. And the role of a supporting sister is not to push you. It's just a gentle reminder of your own heartfelt intentions. So share your intentions with one another and then check in with each other. It doesn't have to be daily. It can be daily if you want to. But yeah, just make it fun. You know, this really makes self-care a whole lot easier and a lot more fun. And you can even schedule to practice at the same time if you're in the same time zone and have a similar daily schedule. And you can definitely check in with each other regularly and celebrate your successes and comfort each other when things aren't going so well, right? And this is how real friendships are created as well. The circle is amazing with so many beautiful, sensitive, soulful, heartfelt women. So, yeah. And obviously, self-care, like establishing a daily self-care practice for yourself is really the first step in a healer sadhana, right? It's the first step in your personal spiritual practice. And then what you should also create as a second step is a weekly healing practice that goes deeper, right? That is really, really, really important. And that's why when you click on the High Vibe Kit, when you have a look at that, when you purchase it, then afterwards you can get my Inner Child Healing Series for minus 50% off, which is a really cool deal. It's also very affordable. And this one includes 8 beautiful shamanic journeys that really cover the most common inner child wounds, right? It's from healing from rejection. It's about healing self-love and self-worth issues. It's about healing from scarcity so you can receive more money. It's about getting clarity on your soul's purpose. There's really lots of goodness in there, so absolutely check it out. I'm gonna pop the link in the comments for you again. And if you have questions about it, absolutely let me know. Welcome, Amber. We've just arrived at the end of this live, so feel free to watch the recording. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions before we end this session. About anything that we've covered. I've really given you everything that you need to establish a beautiful practice for you, so I highly recommend you implement all of these steps. And if you need help along the way, just reach out to me. Definitely get a supporting sister, and I highly recommend you grab the High Vibe Kit because it is really, really amazing. It's going to make this a lot easier for you and really beautiful. These practices are just like really, really amazing. Every one of them a real treasure. Good. Okay, lovelies. It was a pleasure to be here with you as always. I'm sending you all so much love and can't wait to see you back in the group very soon. Bye for now.